Hello. Hi. This is Miles. Welcome to the channel. Last year, I was assigned to steward a plot at a local community garden. And to be honest, I didn't even remember that I had signed up for it. I put myself on the waiting list like a year or two beforehand, but it was a great unexpected surprise. At the time, I had just lost my partner and was going through a really hard time and just needed something to take care of and love and occupy my mind. And this has done that and far more. So I'm very grateful. And the projects that I've done there have really given me a lot of reasons to stay very positive about the future. And so I wanted to share one of them with you today. And I call it the Urban Berry Patch. So here's the story. The plot is 27 by 20 feet. It's a rectangle right on a street. It is not the most serene allotment I've seen on the internet. Tiny one. Oh. Oh. Oh my gosh, drama on the streets. But it still has some great features. For example, it came with 5 blueberry bushes, and it looked like the previous stewards had kind of planted them over several years. So I decided definitely wanted to continue it, and I definitely maybe went overboard and definitely bought a lot of plants. But someday, and for many years after that day, it will be worth it. I promise. Few activities thrill me more than buying plants. But in this case, I tried to be thoughtful and limit myself. So here were my limitations. I live in USDA hardiness zone 8B, so I need plants that can survive cooler climates, which is unavoidable. Second, I wanted a mix of native and non-native species that were not blueberries. I already had blueberries. I want to introduce a little more diversity. Third, I've got to be able to keep it a compact shape. I've got people right next to me. I can't have things growing into their section. Fourth, it's got to be cute. Sorry. And fifth, it's got to be tasty. And I don't think I'm asking for too much. Do you? I don't think so. So far to date, I've planted 13 plants. 7 last winter and 6 this winter. The first 2 are native berry species, commonly called different types of huckleberries. The first is vaccinium membranaceum, the mountain huckleberry, and then vaccinium ovalifolium, which is the oval leaf bilberry. They're related to blueberries, but you almost never see them sold fresh in a store. And huckleberry products are usually made from berries picked by foragers in the wild. And those foragers keep those locations of the berry patches very secret. They only tell their children, no exaggeration. And most of them believe that growing huckleberries in a garden is not possible. But I don't know. The third plant I added was a lingonberry, vaccinium vitis-idaea, I think. It's another blueberry relative. And I mostly know it through IKEA. Sounds like a tasty jam. They make small red berries that are supposed to be tart, and they're native through the Northern Hemisphere. The fourth is a goji berry, Lycia barbarum, and this was just like a twig that one of my neighbors pulled out of her plot and gave to me. She had an established bush. These berries create runners. She pulled up one of the runners. I stuck it in the ground. Didn't have much hope for it, but don't count it out. Not yet. Thank you, Lucy, by the way, for giving that to me. Goji berries have been used in Chinese medicine for a long, long time. And apparently they're very nutritious. The word antioxidant is thrown around a lot, if that means anything to you. The last 3 plants that I added were all types of Seabuckthorn, also known as sea berries. Hippophae rhamnoides, I think is the Latin name. They produce small, tart, orange berries, very high in vitamin C. They are prevalent through Mongolia and Russia and the Baltics and Northern Europe. And apparently they're also very good, but covered in thorns. Nobody's perfect. From the start, I knew that huckleberries were going to be the big challenge because so far I didn't see a lot of success stories about people growing them. But I decided to do something maybe a little bit different. Instead of doing a traditional berry patch, I wanted to do a more natural ecosystem that was like a forest floor. I also read that vaccinium species rely on specific mycelium to function. And so my goal for the first year was just to create as much mycelial activity in the ground of this area as possible. And I did that by adding a ton of organic matter that can be broken down by the mycelium. What else did I do? And continually feeding it, because mycelium grow, they exhaust the resources and they look elsewhere, and so you have to continually feed it in order to keep them happy. So that's what I did. I created this woodland mulch that I made from as much free stuff as I could get. Wood chips, compost, coffee grounds, pine needles, pine cones, branches, fallen leaves, grass clippings, weed clippings, whatever, just organic material of a great diversity, with some things dry and some things wet. And it worked. It worked. If you peeled back the mulch, you would see the mycelium. And then in the fall, I was rewarded with a ton of little mushrooms. So I feel very optimistic about that. And all my plants survived transplant. So that's awesome. So how did each one do? Well, huckleberries didn't produce fruit. I set my expectations low. I knew that wasn't gonna happen. But they looked cute. They looked beautiful most of the year. They got a little too much sun exposure, a little too much drought in the summer, so I need to be better about watering and providing shade. Lesson learned. And the bilberry produced a flower, which really made me feel optimistic that this woodland mulch thing is a good idea, and that maybe it just needs another year. Maybe this is just the foundation year. So no huckleberries, but feeling positive, feeling optimistic. Next, the lingonberries grew a little bit, produced flowers, produced a couple fruit, and I did get to taste one. I don't think I filmed it, unfortunately, but it was sweet and a little tart and a little astringent. So it makes sense that it would be a jam. The Seabuckthorn, nada. I didn't see it flower, I didn't see it fruit. It survived transplant, it grew, both good things. We'll see about this year. Finally, the goji berry, which I told you not to underestimate, but you did. Well, joke's on you, because it flourished. Not only did it survive transplant, it grew a lot, it produced flowers, and it produced fruit. Now, the fruit, not my favorite flavor yet, but I'm gonna work with it. I'm gonna work with it. And maybe just like with the lingonberry, I have to process it in a certain way. So I'm willing to give that a go. Now it's 2023. And I've already planted 6 new plants. So I'm hitting it early. The plants I got this year include a pink lemonade blueberry, vaccinium virgatum, which is a separate species from the northern high bush blueberry varieties we're used to, but also very similar. I also bought and planted a cranberry, variety Stevens, that's vaccinium macrocarpon, I think. I planted, what else did I plant? A gooseberry. Gosh, I'm not gonna remember the gooseberry Latin name. I'll put it on the screen. Variety's called Jewel. It looks like it could be very tasty. There are some thorns though, but I'm gonna work with it. Lastly, I bought 3 haskap berries. That's honeyberry in the United States, but I think haskap is a cooler word. They look like elongated blueberries, and allegedly, I've never tasted one, they taste like a combination of a blueberry and a raspberry, so I'm excited about that. I bought 3 because you need more than one variety in order to cross-pollinate, so I chose Aurora, Borealis, and Blue Ocean? Blue Ocean, I think. Maybe. And those are the berries for the new year. I'm going to continue the woodland mulch. I feel like that was very successful, and I want to take it the next step. And I've also planted about 100 early spring flowering bulbs because a lot of these berries, they bloom early and they need specialty pollinators like bumblebees and not necessarily honeybees. So I wanted to try to get a diversity of flowers in there so that the pollinators will be there when the huckleberries bloom, if the huckleberries bloom. Now, I'm personally biased. I believe that I can do this. I believe that one can grow and produce a huckleberry in your backyard. But I'm still learning how to make this happen, and one of the reasons why I wanted to share this is that maybe you might have some suggestions or some ideas for growing huckleberries, but certainly for growing berries in general, especially if you've grown some of these species that I've talked about. So please leave a comment if you know something helpful and you're willing to share. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're feeling generous and want to contribute toward the garden, the berry patch, check out the fundraising link in the description. If you're watching this, it means you've watched the whole video. And I just want to say thank you. So appreciate you giving your time to talk about berries, huckleberries, and I hope it was enjoyable for you.